Hey everyone, welcome to Booze Battalion, where we talk about everything from funny moments to sensory episodes between our kids. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, babe. Doing great.
So this last week we actually had some cooler weather. That was actually pretty nice. I mean, it wasn't like dramatically cool, but it was fucking. It was
But
a
it was
lot
worth
better.
it.
It was not 100 degrees, so I could deal with the 90s, but that 100-degree damn weather, I can't. I can't do that.
I know, right?
It's just going crazy. So this last week, you talked to the kids about back to school.
Oh, I can't believe it's that time already.
You know, at times I thought summer would go by really slow. It was like, oh my gosh, when are the kids going back to school? And then it's kind of like, all of a sudden it's like, dang, kids are going back to school already.
I know, and now instead of, getting up at like 8 o'clock, we all have to get up like super early. Well, I mean, not our household necessarily, because we only have one kid that's going to public school. But still, like, that's what... There's nice things about summer. You don't have to get up early, but there's also nice things about sending your kid to school.
Right.
Because then you have like 8 hours of quiet without having to worry about where they're at.
Exactly.
Or what trouble they're going to get into.
Well, I mean, at least we got teenagers. 2 teenagers. At least one of them we have to worry about.
That's not a great thing,
No,
there,
I
darling.
know. I know. So, how did that go talking with the kids going back to school?
Well, they're mixed feelings about it. Some of them are excited about going back to school, and some of them not so much.
Usually the older group, not so much, right?
No, surprisingly, even the younger group, but it's because they don't have very many friends in school.
Okay.
So school's not as fun for them, not as engaging or enlightening or really anything. But, we talked about a couple of things to help make their school days better. So I know, yes, Boo is currently homeschooled. And we made that decision because of situations that were happening in the public school. And for our family, it just wasn't the right fit. So we moved our oldest two to homeschooling. But when she was getting ready to go back into public school, it was really important that we started off with a schedule.
Right.
Because during the summer, man, your schedule's a little bit more open, a little bit more flexible. The kids get to relax, rewind, unwound, all of the things, right? Then we get back into school. And a lot of times we make the mistake of not prepping them beforehand.
Right.
And this can have disastrous effects because the kids will fight it. Oh, man, do they fight it so hard. They fight going to bed earlier. They fight getting up earlier. They fight getting dressed, eating breakfast, all of the things that you have to do in order to get their butts up and out of the door so that they are in school at the right time.
Right.
So what we talked about here is one, I showed them a cute little cartoon video of a kid who had a dream that he missed the school bus. Actually, it was that he woke up late to his alarm, which then caused him to be late getting dressed, missing breakfast, missing the school bus, all of the things, right? Because it's a snowball effect.
Right.
And then we talked to the kids separately, and, we said, what do you think you could have done? Like, how do you think you could prevent this going forward? And it was really great to have all of them have ideas like, well, let's set our clothes out the night before. If we put them on the edge of our bed, then they're right there. So when we get up, first thing we have to do is we have to get dressed.
Right.
We talked about having lists a few weeks ago. We talked about the importance of routines, and we started getting them introduced to routines, right? Without having it connected to schools or anything like that. But we brought that aspect back into it since they were already familiar with it, so they could talk about routines for getting ready to school. And that included setting out their clothes. That included making sure their toothbrushes were easy to find or easy to handle, and their toothpaste, all of that stuff. Getting their showers the night before. Making sure that their breakfasts were pre-made as much as possible. Some of the families, of course, like to make eggs and pancakes and breakfast, and that's totally cool, right? Awesome. As long as it's a well-rounded breakfast, that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
But for the other kids, they were like, yeah, I want to make sure that, there's nothing that I have to set out the night before that would make me late. Talked about different recipes like overnight oats or oatmeal or just plain cereal or French toast, things that could be frozen and they can just pop it in the, toaster, make it, eat it, go.
Right.
Of course, a lot of kids have breakfast at school, but, and then along with that, we talked about how to be prepared in school. Because that first day of school, not only do you have to fight the morning routine, the night before routine, the morning routine, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have to fight the change of routine from the actual school. Because in your house, they get to play their games. Maybe they do chores, maybe they don't. Every family's different. They can play outside. But they basically have a freedom, right?
Right.
And they don't have to worry about learning. They don't have to worry about sitting down in these chairs and making sure that they're rigid and which not all teachers are like that, but there are some, right?
Right.
So the other most important aspect when you're talking to the kiddos about their schedules is relaying to them about the school schedule. I mean, when Boo was in public school, every year I talked to her teacher before school started. Every year. And I'm not talking about the parents meet and greet. I mean, I had a phone conversation or I went up to the school and had an in-person conversation and said, here's A, B, C, D, and E that she needs in order to move forward. This is all in her IEP, 5 before, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I made sure that teacher had the information. And then I also asked her, what does your day look like for our kids? For the younger classes. Do you do math or reading first? When do you have recess? When do you have lunch? All of those aspects. So that way we could talk to Boo about it before school started. So on the first day of school, she had in her mind, okay, I know I'm in school, so I need to go here, and then I need to go here, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this. Because throughout the day, their schedule is going to get thrown for whatever, right? We got fire drills. We got, depending on where you live, you got tornado drills.
We have that.
We do have tornado drills. You have different activities like having a in-school assembly.
Right.
All these things that throw off their inner schedule of control is kind of what I used to call it with her. She needed to know that she had that control. And that's a lot of kids. So the first day, and the teachers are like, oh, can these kids go home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not saying they don't love our kids and they don't appreciate our kids and all that good stuff, because we know they do. And they love the first day of school. But we also know that the first day of school can be very exhausting, just like the day before break and the first day back from break.
Right.
Them kids, they know that they're going to be all over the place, right? And the teachers know it too. So any type of pre-conversations you can have with them to help them get ready for their schedules and setting that expectation for them is going to be enormous. And that's what I talk to the kids about too. So that way they're more prepared and it's less of the parent saying you need to do A, B, C, D, F, but the kid saying, okay, Mom, Dad, I want to do blah, 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 blah. So I have a great first day of school. Giving them those tools so they can feel more in charge and more in control, which means the whole thing's going to go a lot better because they feel in control.
Right. Right. So did any of the kids come up with some little bit of funny ideas on how they would want to prep, as you usually say?
Well, we had lots of funny ideas. Like they wanted breakfast to be waffles every day. It was a great one. I'm like, it's a little bit much sugar for every single day of the week.
That is a lot of sugar.
Other kids were just like, nah, we just put on our clothes and go. I'm like, what about brushing your teeth? What about being, taking a shower? What about any of that stuff? No, we don't need that. I'm like, yes, you do. Please, yes. Yes, you do.
Yeah. We have to sometimes get after our kids for that. Especially our teenagers. Actually, no, all three of them.
All three of them.
We really have to get after them for that. But I know our youngest one, he is excited to start school.
Yes.
He's was bugging us on to go down to the school so he could see who's in his class. And all it was just going to the office so he can look at the piece of paper that shows, this is who's in your class. But he's excited. I'm excited for the kids to go back to school, or at least the one to go back to public school. The other ones are here. But,
yeah, they've done so good in homeschooling, and not to knock public schooling. Public schooling is great for some. It's great for our youngest. Mm-hmm. But for the oldest man, at least where we are, homeschooling has been so much better for them. It allows them the time to, it's not so rushed. They're not put on the spot as often, which especially for Boo makes a difference. Mm-hmm. There's not so many different noises, smells, tastes, feels, all the things that, overwhelm her. That's part of what we talked about too is, and what we're going to be talking about in the coming weeks is about patience and flexibility, right? And so in order to help that, we picked out a couple of easy kid meditations. So for the younger kids, they got to learn a meditation of drawing a rainbow. It's really cute. And the meditation is, basically imagining that you're drawing a rainbow and your arms come up. And then when you breathe out, they come down. Right? And it's something you can do in 60 seconds or less, which for the younger kids is a great aspect. Because any type of long meditation doesn't work for them.
Right.
They don't have that patience at all. But if you want to grow their patience, then having a shorter one that they can visualize is really, really helpful. And to help them know that, okay, this is something you can use when you're feeling anxious in school. Right? Mm-hmm. When you're feeling overwhelmed in school, you can take a moment. You don't have to close your eyes if you don't want to. And you just breathe in, bring your hands up, and then bring your hands down, right? And then for the older kids, because, doing a rainbow is a little bit, outside of their purview.
Right.
It's a little too young for them. We talked about melting. And, again, it was with video visualization, things like that. But melting is basically where as you're breathing in, you're tensing your body up. And then as you're breathing out, you're slowly releasing everything. And like you're melting onto the floor. Some of them are quite dramatic. It was great. But again, you don't have to have your eyes closed.
Right.
But especially for older kids when they're, after lunch or someone's yelling things at them or there's too much noise, things like that, and you need to feel back in control. That's where we get the stimming. Stimming's not a problem at all. Mm-hmm. But we're giving them another option, right? Or especially if there's limited room in their classroom or whatnot and they don't want to stim as much, then this melting is another option where they can just and just kind of let it go. And these are things that if your kiddos enjoy them, if it helps them when they're doing it at home, take that to your teachers. Man, mm-hmm. So many parents that I meet that have these things that they do at home. Sometimes it's just giving the kid a fidget toy. Sometimes it's meditation. Sometimes it's, giving them lotion, right? So they can feel that tactile feeling of just putting on lotion and they get to smell it, right? Mm-hmm. But of these things, and they work at home and then the kids go to school and the teachers have no idea. And I'm like, why? That right there is setting up the kid for failure. It's setting up the parent for frustration. It's setting up the teacher for frustration. It doesn't matter how weird it is, man. if it helps the kiddo at home regulate themselves, tell your teachers about it. Get it into your IEP plan, get it into your 504 plan, whatever, to let them know. So that way, your kiddo can get the most help. With Boo, we had some strange things built in.
Right, we did.
For instance, we flat out told them she gets overwhelmed easily, so she needs a brain break. And at first, in the beginning, when we would say this, they were like, what? Brain break? Why do you need that? And it's very simple. With everything else they have being thrown at them, especially for our sensory kiddos, right? They can't process too much at one time. It's not going to teach them anything. It's going to go right in one ear and right out the other one.
Right.
And so we had to tell them, she needs to get up and she needs to walk. That's it. That's all they did. They took the para or whatever, and they'd walk in the classroom if the para couldn't leave because there weren't enough paras. Or if there was an extra para, they'd let her walk up and down the hall. Just for a minute. It doesn't have to disrupt the classroom. It doesn't have to disrupt the other kids. Right?
Uh-huh.
But it's something to help them so that they can intake more information. Other times it was about giving her lotion. I'd take lotion up there. Or flavored sparkling water. Because again, for her, it was all about that feeling. Or the smells. It was about the senses. They get her brought back where you needed her. You had to have something dramatic to give her. So we had all of those things in place that the teachers knew about so that they could use them to help her. And it did. It did help her for the most part. But it's super important to make sure that your school has that information. Because without it, it's not going to be a great school year. And you're going to run into problems after problem after problem. Again, it doesn't matter how silly it seems or how weird it seems or anything. If it helps them, man, share that information. Give it to whoever you need to give it to make sure that your kiddo has the best experience possible and can learn in the right way.
Right.
And be moving forward. It'll make a world of difference.
Well, hopefully, the information you gave out will help some parents out.
Did I just blow your mind a little?
No, because we discussed this over the years. So, you didn't really blow my mind, but hopefully she blew some of y'all's minds. But if y'all like what we talk about here, please leave comments. Share it. It helps the algorithm out. Ask us questions too. You can ask questions in the comments. You can email us with any questions that you want. What's the email?
The email is support@boozbattalion.com.
So you can go ahead and email us there with any questions. We will answer all your questions. So if you don't have anything, I think we will be good.
All right. Yeah, no, I don't. And you can always find us on social media with @boozbattalion. So you can always ask questions or see what's going on there.
And we're on all social media platforms. Those, just go in there. Booze Battalion. You'll know us. So I don't have anything else. You don't have anything else. Hopefully we get to see you guys next time.
All right. Have a great night.